The UK and France brace for extreme temperatures as the heatwave across Europe's southwest continues.
From forests in France to trains in Spain, Europe witnesses a day of wildfires.
Europe will double its gas imports from Azerbaijan as European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen signs new agreement with Baku.
Here in theCUBE, we look at the false claim that Ukrainian refugees were invited to stay at a former Nazi camp in Germany.
Much of southwest Europe continues to bake under the scorching sun as Britain and France brace for record temperatures. Scientists blame climate change and predict more frequent episodes of intense weather. Meteorologists in the UK say people need to take extra care as the mercury could hit 40 degrees Celsius on Tuesday for the very first time.
Yeah, we enjoy it. We're just apprehensive of the effects that it will have. So trying to be sensible and drink lots and stay covered. That's our plan. But hopefully we can make the most of it and stay out of trouble.
Far from the coast, Londoners head to the city's outdoor pools in an attempt to stay cool. This comes as the Met Office issued its first ever red extreme heat warning last week for large parts of England. Across the Channel, experts in France say the country is facing a heat apocalypse. 15 departments across the country, from the Mediterranean as far north as Brittany, have issued red alert warnings. The northwest, which has so far escaped the worst of the heat, is also expecting to register temperatures as high as 40 degrees. Emergency measures have been put in place to help the elderly and the homeless.
We just bring water bottles and a little bit of food. We are there to support, to do prevention, to raise awareness and to alert if we see particular cases.
Moving south to Spain after 9 days of sweltering highs hitting up to 46 degrees, the state's weather agency says the second heat wave of the season is coming to an end. However, the big sizzle is set to continue along the Iberian Peninsula for the coming weeks, offering little respite to locals and tourists alike.
Firefighters in Gironde in southwest France are locked in a desperate battle to save forests and keep people safe. More than 14,000 hectares of trees have been turned to charcoal. More than 3,500 people have been moved out of their homes. I barely have time to water one place before it starts up again elsewhere. We're running around. Desperate scenes that are being repeated in other parts of Europe, with record temperatures across many parts of the continent. Passengers on a train in Spain's northwest suddenly found flames visible from both sides as they travelled from Madrid to Ferrol. More than 30 forest fires around Spain have driven thousands of people from their homes, scorching 220 square kilometres of woodland and claiming the lives of 2 men, a fireman and a farm worker. When I arrived, it was a real hell, a real hell. My mother's house was partly burnt down from behind. Across the border in Portugal, a woman rescued a pet dog as 400 firefighters and residents battled a blaze near Fatela. They say the fire that broke out on Sunday spread 7 kilometres in 3 hours, threatening people and properties.
Ensuring new gas supplies for Europe. European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen announced on Monday a new agreement to double its gas imports from Azerbaijan. Von der Leyen signed the accord alongside Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev in Baku.
The European Union has therefore decided to diversify away from Russia and to turn towards more reliable, trustworthy partners, and I'm glad to count Azerbaijan among them. You are indeed a crucial energy partner for us, and you have always been reliable.
Other EU leaders are also trying to secure new gas supplies. Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi paid a visit to Algiers, where he was met by Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune, with energy supply agreements being signed. French President Emmanuel Macron, meanwhile, hosted the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, in Paris to discuss France's gas alternatives. Germany is also very concerned after Russian gas company Gazprom said it would not be turning the Nord Stream 1 pipeline back on.
The question is whether Nord Stream 1, which is a very significant gas pipeline to Germany, is going to come back from the maintenance. It's under maintenance from the 11th of July until the 21st of July. Whether it's going to come back is an absolutely critical question, and so far the signals are not particularly good.
The scramble for gas is intensified following Europe's decision to curtail its dependency on Russian energy. Last year, Russia provided 155 billion cubic metres of gas to Europe. That's 40% of the European market.
A Russian attack on the Bakhmut district in the Donetsk region has injured 6 people, including 3 children, according to Kyiv military reports. In the nearby city of Toretsk, residents told of explosions and a storm of black smoke and red fire as Russia continues its assault in the country. Kyiv has accused Moscow of launching fresh strikes on multiple residential areas in eastern and southern Ukraine. Meanwhile, in a surprise move, Ukraine's president has fired his top spy, Security Service Chief Ivan Bakanov, and the country's Prosecutor General, citing hundreds of criminal investigations into treason.
More than 60 employees of the Prosecutor's Office and the SBU have remained in the occupied territory working against our state. Such an array of crimes against our national security and the links recorded between Ukrainian security forces and Russian special services raise very serious questions about their respective leaders.
And in the path of Russia's invasion, towns which are finding themselves ever closer to the front line make preparations to evacuate.
Even if fighting stops where they are now and the front line doesn't move, it will be very hard to survive here in winter.
Some of their number have already paid the ultimate price. A 40-year-old local died in recent fighting in Marinka, a town near Donetsk city.
According to the United Nations, more than 5 million people have now left Ukraine since the start of the war. Many of these people have moved on from the immediate border nations further to Western Europe. And misinformation about these refugees has followed them there. Some online users have claimed that in Germany, Ukrainian refugees were invited to stay at a temporary hotel at the former Nazi concentration camp at Sachsenhausen near Berlin. Some people shared this image, claiming that Ukrainian flags and the words "Welcome Home" were placed outside the barracks at the former camp. These claims were spread on many pro-Kremlin Telegram channels, as well as by some users on Twitter in German, Italian and Polish. But those photos are misleading. They have been manipulated. Here in theCUBE, we used open-source fact-checking tools to verify images. The dark red images that you see here indicate where a photo has been digitally altered. And as you can see, those photos were altered exactly where the alleged Welcome Home banners were placed on the barracks. What's more, we also reverse searched to try to find when the photo of the barracks was first published online. And we came across that same exact photo on this Berlin tourism website from back in 2019. So that photo has been digitally altered and those barrack signs did not exist. What's more, there is no evidence of any such invitation from the Sachsenhausen Memorial inviting Ukrainian refugees. Indeed, the memorial themselves have posted a statement on social media, denying these rumours and saying that they will take legal action against the fake news. It's not clear who is behind those digitally altered images and this misinformation. But the Sachsenhausen Memorial has blamed this on Russia's propaganda warfare. And they say they have reported this misinformation to the German police.
As Europe contends with a ferocious heatwave, diplomats from dozens of countries are gathering in Berlin to discuss efforts to tackle climate change. The 12th Petersburg Climate Change Conference started on Monday, with Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock emphasising the need to stay focused on climate issues.
We have 8 years left to almost halve global emission. That's the commitment we made in Glasgow. But we also have to focus much more on the climate impacts that we have failed to avert. We owe this to the people around the world, in the Pacific Islands, in Sahel, and in other regions, who are already suffering and who already feel the impacts of the current climate crisis.
With record temperatures across Europe in recent weeks, experts are warning that this extreme heat could become the new normal if global warming continues.
The underlying state of the vegetation, or the flammability, if you like, how ready the vegetation is to burn, is increased because of these hotter and drier temperatures as a result of climate change. So then in summers and periods like we're in now, it just takes an ignition to really ignite very extreme wildfires, which are then very difficult to manage.
Environmentalists feared that the search for new energy sources as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine may undermine progress towards achieving climate targets. Organisers are hoping that the two-day conference will help countries to devise a more united approach to climate change.
As the Petersburg climate dialogue continued here in Berlin today, so the temperatures continue to rise in the German capital. By Wednesday, they're expected to reach as high as 39 degrees Celsius. And already some Berliners are seeking out some of the best shady spots, like here in the somewhat parched Berlin Park. The effects of climate change couldn't have been more tangible for those attending the climate dialogue. Addressing representatives from some 40 countries today, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz voiced his concerns at what he described as a global renaissance of fossil fuel energy. No one can be happy with the fact that the share of coal-fired electricity generation is rising, he said, pointing as well to his own government's recent approval to fire up more coal-fueled electricity plants in light of those supply shortages as well as rising energy prices. Concerns over energy shortages in Europe continue to mount in Monday, however, after Russian gas giant Gazprom declared force majeure on gas supplies to Europe to at least one major customer. The letter, which was seen by Reuters, says that Gazprom could not fulfill its supply obligations due to extraordinary circumstances and therefore aims to effectively shield Gazprom from compensation payments. This reportedly also concerns supplies through the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline, which is a major supply route for gas here to Germany and wider parts of Europe. It's currently closed for repairs until July 21st, but concerns had already been mounting over whether or not the pipeline will indeed be turned back on again. Kate Brady, Euronews, Berlin.
Whilst Germany and Austria lead the push to phase out nuclear, their close neighbour is putting the foot on the accelerator. The Czech Republic, a landlocked country, will be investing billions of Czech korunas building brand new power plants. Construction will start in 2029 and last around 7 years. So when the European Parliament agreed to label gas and nuclear as green investments, this nuclear physicist, watching from a research centre in the outskirts of Prague, was relieved.
Taxonomy is another bureaucracy which will be. But if this nuclear will be in taxonomy, will be a little better situation for nuclear.
Like France, the Czech Republic had been pushing for nuclear to be part of the EU sustainable finance rules. 40% of its electricity comes from nuclear, 1% from wind. In downtown Prague, locals are split, just like EU countries.
Well, I think it's a great thing, and that's a way we should go for, especially in these days. So,
I think it's a bad decision because it's really not green, and also it will take eternity to build those new nuclear blocks.
So I live in the country where we have 4 seasons. I think that we definitely need nuclear energy, especially in the winter time.
As the head of the EU for the next 6 months, the Czech Republic will have to find answers to soaring energy bills, but also lead the EU's ambitious climate transition, whilst preparing, of course, for a possible total Russian gas cut-off.
We need to provide for European citizens. We need to provide them with enough energy to heat up their homes, for industry to be properly working. It doesn't mean that we would leave Green Deal as such, but we need to be clever in the way we do it.
This Wednesday, the European Commission will announce plans to, quote, save gas for a safe winter. Consumers and companies will be asked to turn down their heating and save energy, and countries may be encouraged to press pause on phasing out nuclear. Maeve McMahon, Euronews, Prague.
It's brand new and a first for Asia. China's Huahu Airport in the central Hubei province is only the 4th professional cargo airport in the world. It's a 23,000 metre square cargo terminal, a freight transit centre of close to 700 square metres, 124 parking stands and 2 runways. A Boeing 767-300 cargo plane took off just after 11 yesterday morning to mark the official start of operations. With the number of parcels handled by China's courier companies hitting a record high last year, the cutting-edge technology at the new airport will improve freight transport efficiency. Some 10 international cargo routes and 50 domestic routes are expected to be in operation by 2025, with the cargo and mail passing through the hub reaching close to 2.5 million tonnes. The airport will also offer passenger flight services linking the city of Ezhou with 9 destinations, including Beijing. It's only the second time it's been detected in West Africa, but Ghana has confirmed its first cases of the deadly Marburg virus. This after laboratory analysis of 2 patients who died earlier this month in the southern Ashanti region came back positive. The disease is an extremely infectious hemorrhagic fever from the same family as Ebola. It's transmitted amongst humans through direct contact with the bodily fluids of infected people and surfaces. The World Health Organization says the virus can easily get out of hand, and more than 90 people who were in contact with the 2 are being monitored. Now that it's declared an outbreak in Ghana, it says it's working closely with health authorities on the ground to prepare a response. There have been a dozen Marburg flare-ups, mostly in southern and eastern Africa, since 1967. In the past, fatality rates from the virus have ranged from 24% to 88%.
In the south of Luxembourg, Esch, the European capital of culture, is reclaiming its industrial heritage to reinvent its future.
The site's called Viva, a former wagon workshop. It's abandoned. We are interested in the industrial heritage. We are from this region, we attach a lot of importance to these abandoned buildings, and we want to bring these spaces back to life.
The revived workshop is multifaceted, with a garden providing vegetables in a relaxing green space.
The aim is that anyone can help themselves and take care of the garden. It's to create a pleasant and festive place because we have a stage beside it with tables to eat after a day of association work.
The cultural centre Culture Fabrique is a former slaughterhouse where there are concerts, a cinema and also artist residencies. Satya composes his music here, a creative project called Them Lights.
Them Lights is a slightly dark electro-pop music project. It's a solo project, and this is my studio, and this is where I produce my music.
From music to avant-garde architecture in the town of Dudelange. This cabin is called Floating and is an example of innovative accommodation for sustainable tourism.
Here in Dudelange, as in the south of the country, we don't deny our industrial past. We are proud of it. We decided very early on to invest in culture, and that's why it's normal for culture to be in our industrial sites, in the Optischmelz, as we call them here.
Thanks to its creative renewal, Esch ensures its past is part of its cultural future.